Is that right?
My phone is there.
All right, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I'm Sylvia Garcia, member of Congress. Together with me are two of our LULAC leaders. I think you know Domingo Garcia and Ms. Benavides, who is their executive director or CEO here in Washington. We just got back from the Pentagon where we met with the Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy. We were there specifically to meet with him and make demand that we get a full independent investigation of the Vanessa Guillen case. As you all know, Vanessa Guillen is my constituent, and her tragic death by murder needs a full independent review. We're asking for the Inspector General of the Department of Defense to do this, and I'm pleased to report that the Secretary is going to recommend to the Department of Defense to do this investigation. So we were really heartened by that. Now it'll be up to the Secretary to make that decision and to make sure that the Department of Defense does its job and do a full independent investigation. Secondly, and immediately, he is naming a panel of about 3 to 5 experts in the area of sexual harassment and processing of complaints and use of procedures and policies to look at everything at Fort Hood, to look at the culture, to look at the climate, to look at the environment, to look at the procedures and the processes, to see just how they can do better. I think, again, this is a great step in the right direction. He did assure me that all their findings would be available to Congress in full, and I look forward to working with them to make sure that even their internal investigation through this independent panel is thorough, transparent, and can answer so many questions that not only the Yen family has, but so many soldiers across our country have. I'll let my colleagues from LULAC talk about it, but we've seen thousands of soldiers now posting their moments where they had uncomfortable situations while during their service. And it is under a hashtag I am Vanessa Guillen. So again, 2 outcomes which I think are in the right direction. First, the Secretary of Army will recommend to the Department of Defense that the Inspector General do a full independent review of the entire Vanessa Guillen case. And by that I mean both the criminal investigation and the allegations of sexual harassment. And secondly, in the meantime, they will be doing this expert panel to review everything specific to Fort Hood and specific to the charges of sexual harassment. With that, I'll pass it on to my good friend from Texas, Domingo Garcia, who is the national president of LULAC. LULAC also raised a couple of other issues that are really important to our Latino community, and he will go through those. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Domingo Garcia, and I'm the national president of LULAC, the nation's oldest Latino civil rights organization and the nation's largest civil rights organization. We came to speak to the Secretary of the Army and various other officials regarding justice for Vanessa Guillen and her family, and for Private Gregory Morales, who was also found dead at Fort Hood. We believe that these cases have exposed a systematic problem within the Army and other branches of the military. The I am Vanessa Guillen hashtag, we now have thousands of women who have come forward and said, I was raped, I was abused, I complained, I tried to bring it up, and nothing happened. And that was the message we carried today to the Secretary of the Army and other officials. We believe that message has been heard. So all of you who protested, who marched, who held vigils throughout America for justice for Vanessa Guillen, those voices have been heard here in Washington, D.C. And those voices today have resulted in the appointment of an independent commission that will investigate charges of sexual abuse and harassment in the Army. The Secretary of the Army, McCarthy, has asked LULAC to recommend Latinas and Latinos to serve on this commission, which we will be giving those names to him. And we hope that this commission will remedy the systematic sexual harassment and abuse of women in the military. When a woman puts on the uniform and agrees to serve our country and takes that oath, she should be treated equally to the men in the Army. And when they're not, and when they're abused and their cries for help are not heard, then there is a definite problem that we have to deal with, and that's what we believe a first step was taken today by Secretary McCarthy. We also brought up the issue of renaming the forts, the 10 forts named after Confederate traitors to the United States, that they should be renamed. Specifically, Fort Hood should be renamed for Sergeant Roy Benavides, a Medal of Honor winner during the Vietnam War and a true American hero. And he has agreed to have a bipartisan commission that will review renaming the forts. In addition, we have the issue of the deported veterans. We have hundreds of veterans who have served proudly in Iraq and Afghanistan, have picked up nonviolent offenses, usually for drugs or alcohol, and been deported. Many are in Tijuana, Mexico now. And we've asked that the Secretary of the Army investigate how we can bring those soldiers back home and get them the help they need and reunite them with their families. And finally, the issue of making sure that Latinos are promoted within the Army to the ranks of colonel and general, and making sure that there are opportunities for that. Ahora lo voy a decir brevemente en español. ¿Okay? Mi nombre es Domingo García, soy presidente nacional de LULAC, la organización más grande de latinos por derechos civiles en Estados Unidos. Estuvimos aquí para ser la voz de la familia Guillen, de la familia Morales, acerca de pidiendo justicia para ellos, por todos los que han marchado, protestado y han tenido manifestaciones por todo Estados Unidos acerca del caso de Vanessa Guillen. Estamos aquí para que esa voz se escuche aquí en Washington, D.C. con el secretario del Ejército. Tenemos buenas noticias. Esas noticias es que él se prometió de apuntar un comité independiente para investigar el caso de Vanessa Guillen y también del problema de abuso sexual de las soldadas en el ejército. Ha pedido que el LULAC recomiende 2 o 3 personas que sirven en este comité y lo vamos a hacer. Y esperamos que la muerte de Vanessa Guillen, de allí salga algo bueno y que se va a recordar su memoria con leyes que cambian, policies que cambian en el ejército, para que lo que pasó a Vanessa no le pase a ninguna otra mujer en el futuro que se pone el uniforme del ejército de los Estados Unidos. Segundo, también estamos pidiendo que cambien el nombre de Fort Hood en honor de Sargento Roy Benavides, que ganó la medalla de honor durante la guerra de Vietnam, y esperamos que él se reconozca como un héroe americano y que se reconozca lo que ha hecho los latinos en el ejército de Estados Unidos. Tercer, que los latinos veteranos que han sido deportados a México y a otros países, que les den la oportunidad que regresen. Ellos sirvieron a este país y muchas veces por problemas solamente de alcohol o drogas fueron deportados, y muchos de ellos están en Tijuana, México. El año pasado fui yo con la senadora Tammy Duckworth, los visitamos, y el secretario del Ejército prometió que iban a trabajar para regresar esos veteranos otra vez y reunirlos con su familia y con su país, Estados Unidos. Y finalmente pedimos que el secretario del Ejército haga un cambio en las policies para que más latinos se levanten a coroneles y a generales entre el ejército. Y él prometió que iba a trabajar con nosotros para ver los cambios necesarios para que si tiene un hombre como García, Rodríguez, Sánchez, López, tengas la misma oportunidad para ser general en el ejército americano que un Smith o un Jones. Y en eso vamos a enfocarnos en el futuro. Thank you. I'd like to introduce to you our CEO for LULAC, Cindy Benavides.
Thank you, Congresswoman Garcia and President Domingo. My name is Cindy Benavides, and I serve as the CEO of LULAC. Today, we had the opportunity to meet with Secretary McCarthy and other high-ranking officials, including the Undersecretary James McPherson and Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, General Martin. And part of this discussion is making sure that we bring justice to Vanessa Guillen, to her family, to her sisters, to her father. We find it unacceptable that one of our soldiers died on a military base, one of the safest places in America, and that the Army took 2 months to investigate this case and say that it was foul play is completely unacceptable. We stand with the mother, we stand with our community as they march, as they hold vigils, and know that we are here to make sure that our voices are heard. We want change. We want to make sure that those 3 and 4 women and men who have not reported sexual harassment, assault, or rape, that their voices are finally heard. We want change to occur not only within the Army, but within the entire military institution, one of the most powerful institutions in the world. And we believe that this can happen under the watch of the current Secretary as well as Secretary McCarthy. Today's meeting was the first meeting to make sure that Latinas are represented at all levels, that we get the answers that we're looking for, answers that the family has not gotten yet, and that we strongly want. We know that there's something mysterious going on at Fort Hood. Not only do we have Vanessa Guillen's story, but also Soldier Morales, who was declared as AWOL, and now we know that his body was found. We want answers from the military to make sure that our community knows that when they enlist in the military, they are safe on U.S. soil and our own military bases. It is unacceptable that they are dying on U.S. soil and in our own military bases here in our own country. As Representative Garcia mentioned, and as Domingo, our national president, mentioned, we are going to work with the Secretary, with the Department of Defense, to make sure that we bring a conclusion to this case. We want answers. We want an independent investigation. This is a good first step. And we want to make sure, again, that for those individuals who are in support of the Guillen family, of the Morales family, please continue to speak up. Contact your members of Congress. Ask them for an independent congressional investigation as well. Gracias.
Any questions?
Sí, yo quiero saber en español, con lo que han logrado hoy día, ¿qué tan cerca estamos de los resultados? O sea, ¿qué tan cerca la familia puede saber cuándo van a saber, o sea, van a enterarse de qué le pasó a su hijo?
Bueno, pues todavía apenas van a nombrar la comisión y esa comisión va a ser tomada por la cuestión de los quejas de sexual, ¿no? De conducta sexual. Todavía el secretario se comprometió que él va a recomendar la investigación independiente del inspector general del Department of Defense. Es lo que puede ser él es recomendar, así es que todavía tenemos que estar seguros que lo van a hacer, ¿no? Así es que tenemos que continuar con las cartitas, con los textos, con las llamadas, para que sí lo hagan. Y eso se va a tardar más o menos 3 o 6 meses. 3 o 6 meses. Así es que sí va a ser, no va a ser inmediatamente, ¿no? Todo lo que estamos haciendo es para darle paz a la familia. Ahorita están en Houston haciendo los arreglos para decirle adiós a su niña. Así es que tenemos que hacer todo lo posible para que reciban toda la información, para que ya puedan tener paz en sus corazones, ¿no? Así es que vamos a seguir luchando.
Le acaba de preguntar al presidente en una entrevista sobre el caso Guillén. Él dijo que está al tanto de que el lunes va a recibir un reporte. El hecho de que la Casa Blanca se involucre le da esperanza a ustedes de que esto pueda...
No entiendo. ¿Quién dijo que iba...?
Telemundo acaba de entrevistar al presidente y le preguntaron sobre el caso de Guillén. El presidente dijo que está al tanto y que el lunes va a recibir un full report. La pregunta es, ¿el hecho que se involucre en la Casa Blanca significa que para esta familia, o sea, se puede mover más rápido el proceso?
Pues es posible, ¿no? Porque todos trabajan por él, ¿no? Así es que sí puede ser empujarlos para la investigación independiente del Inspector General, que se dice en inglés. Así que es posible, ¿no? Porque, pero no sé si lo va a hacer, porque ya sabes que he terminado muchas de esas posiciones en otras agencias, pero ya sabe que no nomás es un caso muy importante y en Houston, pero en Texas y todo nuestro país. Todos están echando el ojo a ver qué va a pasar. Y es un momento muy importante para tantas mujeres, que esto es como en inglés se dice el Me Too Movement. Ese es el Military Me Too Movement, porque como explicó Domingo, ya hay miles de mujeres soldadas que han escrito en el Facebook la historia de ellas. Así es que es importante que se fije el presidente a ver qué puede hacer para empujarlos, para darle paz a esta familia.
Congresswoman, did the Army shed any more light on the harassment claims from Vanessa Guillen against SBC Aaron David Robinson?
No, today they did not discuss the criminal aspects of the case. They simply assured us that they were committed to making a recommendation to the Department of Defense that the Inspector General independent review be done, and that they were not going to discuss the criminal aspects because they were going to let the Inspector General do that. Then they then proceeded to talk to us about the panel that they will be naming, and I do think that the panel is really a great step. Because it will be independent. It will be experts that have done these kind of reviews for other private companies and private entities, so they'll know what they're doing. And he assured me again that it would be transparent and that the full findings would be given to the Congress for our review. So thank you for that question.
Women have been harassed across the board in the military for decades without any action. Are you confident that something bigger is going to happen now across the board, not just in Fort Hood?
Well, we're hopeful that this independent panel will do, because they're going to look beyond. They're going to look at Fort Hood and then see what they can glean from that about what may be happening in other bases. So yes, this will be more of Fort Hood in a big picture view, to look at the climate, the environment, the culture, the process, the procedures, to look at the command staff and look at how they handle things. Because as you know, Domingo pointed out more than once during the meeting that when you get men removing men's conduct, you may not get a very, very fair and open process. So the commission will be diverse, and hopefully will be majority women on this commission that they're naming, to make sure we get a full and thorough look.
President Garcia touched on this, but this question for both of you. What assurances is Secretary McCarthy giving in terms of changing the Confederate bases? What was that conversation like?
Well, he told CNN that he's in favor of changing the bases. Unfortunately, the very next day, President Trump said no changes were going to happen as long as he was president. So we're hopeful that a bipartisan bill that's coming out of the Senate and the House that is going to put a commission to review the 10 bases will pass, and that President Trump will sign that bill, and that no matter who's president in January, that process go forward, and that these bases be renamed for true American heroes, not people who are fighting for slavery and everything the Constitution stands for. So he gave us assurances that's what he wants to do. Yesterday, the chief of staff for all the military said he was in favor of that also. So we believe that there is a positive energy there in the military. If we can just get the resident of the White House to go along with it, I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of how fast. Hablamos con el secretario del Ejército, le preguntamos que si estaba apoyando cambiando los nombres de los 10 bases que están nombrados por generales de la Confederacy, y él dijo que él ya había dicho que estaba apoyando eso, lo quería hacer, tenía la autoridad de hacerlo ese mismo momento, pero sabía que el siguiente día lo podía cambiar el presidente de los Estados Unidos. Pero hay ahorita una ley que está propuesta en el Senado y el Congreso de apuntar una comisión de republicanos y demócratas para nombrar esos dos bases. Tengo confianza que hay energía positiva ahorita. El jefe de todos los, el militar dijo ayer que él lo apoyaba también. Así es que va a pasar. La única cosa que no sabemos es qué tan rápido, y todo eso depende en el presidente de los Estados Unidos si lo apoya o no. Y esos cambios yo pienso que vienen para enero de 2021.
I have some questions from the press virtually. So Congresswoman, they wanted to know, can you explain how the new investigation that the Army is saying he is going to be supporting, how is that different from what's been done so far And what are you hoping that will truly come out of this? And then secondly, they wanted to know how is that different from the calls that the members of Congress have been making, calling for an independent investigation by the IG. How does it overlap? How is it different? If you can touch upon that a little bit more.
Right. Well, it's two separate things. I mean, a full independent review by the Inspector General of the Department of Defense will look at the whole thing of what happened to Vanessa Guillen, beginning with her disappearance, ultimately finding her remains, and of course, having been murdered. And it'll look at the criminal side, but we'll also look at her allegations of sexual harassment. You know, it's too easy to say, well, she never officially filed the complaint. She never officially went in there and signed the form. But she did complain and shared her story with her sister or a friend back in Houston. She shared it with friends there on the base. So something did happen. They should have investigated that to see what happened and who knew what when and who didn't do what. Who didn't do something when. So I think those two are very separate and distinct. 87 members of Congress joined me in my letter asking for the full independent review by the Department of Defense Inspector General. And that's consistent with what Jackie Speer from Armed Services did, and of course Senator Gillibrand in the Senate. So there's a lot of calls and letters that we've gotten from members of Congress since we've written this letter. So I know the support is growing. They're two separate things. And I hope that they will all be open, transparent, that we'll get the full findings so that Congress can look at it. And I'm hopeful that Representative Speer will ultimately be able to have a hearing so that we can look at it and see what we can do to make sure that this never ever happens again.
And Congresswoman, the other question that folks have was that earlier when you were making the announcement about the independent review board that the Army wants to create, that they couldn't quite hear what you had said in regard to that, and they want to make sure they have it correctly for the record. Would you be able to repeat, what the hopes is for this independent group that the Army now wants to create?
Right. So they're first going to recommend to the Department of Defense that the full independent review by the Inspector General of the Department of Defense, that's one thing. But in the meantime, he's putting together an independent panel of 3 to 5 experts to review the processes, procedures, the climate, the environment, and everything at Fort Hood to determine what happened, what could have been done better, and how they might be able to fix it. They were very clear that they are not going to be on the defensive. They want to work with us. They want to get to the bottom of this and do what's necessary at Fort Hood to make it safer for women to make complaints. And also, if they learn anything at Fort Hood, to do that at other military installations.
Did you make any recommendations to the Secretary on who you would want to see appointed to this board?
Well, he did ask LULAC for names, and we'll be visiting over the weekend about it and submit some names early next week.
And do they have any witnesses now that, obviously Robinson is deceased?
The only person that is being discussed, of course, is the civilian accomplice that is under federal jurisdiction now. I forget which county is it. It's not in Bell County. It's in.
It's Temple. Well, it's Killeen, Texas.
Yeah, I think it's Bell County. I forget the name of the county, but it's under federal jurisdiction. I think she was arraigned on Monday, so she's. I understand they're talking to her, and that new facts are being revealed every time they talk to her. And at some point, we will get all those. They're just not prepared to share all that because they consider it still a pending investigation as to her. And because that's civilian, the military folks just don't have as much jurisdiction at all on that. They cooperate and provide information, but it's now being handled by the local authorities.
Congresswoman, another question from folks virtually is, will the panel be looking at the allegations of sexual assault by Vanessa Guillen? Will they just be making, policy changes or recommendations on sexual assault?
I think they're gonna do both, right?
And
Yeah.
will that be handled by the IG?
Well, the IG will handle for sure the criminal and the sexual harassment because they're going to look at the whole thing. Is what we would want. The panel, as I understood him, they're going to look at what happened in the Vanessa Guillen case and then look at other cases. In fact, they asked LULAC if they could, if there was any way to get with the women that are posting on Facebook, because they do want to get to the bottom of this. So they will be looking at the Vanessa Guillen case and how it was handled, but then look at the whole picture to make the institutional change that is needed.
And then finally, to conclude, we did get a question regarding, what does LULAC, what will LULAC continue to do? And for one, for those individuals who have been targeted, we want you to contact us so that we can notify directly the Secretary's office in terms of these cases, whether you're a veteran or an active member. We want to make sure that your voice is heard. Una pregunta que recibimos es qué es lo que LULAC va a continuar haciendo, y nosotros vamos a continuar apoyando a la familia de Vanessa Guillen y también para esas personas que son afectadas, que han desafortunadamente tenido esta experiencia de harassment, de sexual assault, de rape, que por favor nos dejen saber de su historia para poder compartir esto con el secretario del Army, para poder compartir con ellos los números. Sabemos que la mayoría de personas, 3 en 4, no reportan estos abusos. Sabemos que estos abusos están incrementó por el 10% solamente en un año, y queremos nosotros como una organización de derechos civiles continuar empujando al secretario, a la defensa, a que tomen las acciones apropiadas para que protejan a nuestras mujeres, a las personas que están en el militar, en la defensa.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I got to speak to Pelosi.